and former Olympic hopeful. She's got more names than Sean Puffy Combs. Here she is, Julie Stewart-Binks. What's happening, Julie?
Hey, Sal, thanks so much for having me on. It's funny. I think that might be my line when I end up having to go to AA. Will be just like, well, she hosted a podcast that involved drinking. So inevitably the signs were there.
I think that's one of the steps. Admittance, I don't know. Maybe it's 3 of the steps, but you're back. Thank you. I know you just took a flight across country or down the country. Yes, I don't know how it goes.
Yeah. What I don't really know the geography of this country. I'm wearing my red because we are recording this before Canada takes on USA and women's hockey tonight, which I have a lot of bets on that game, but
you do.
This will be out after, so I don't know how.
No, I know. I feel bad about the timing of this because it is about 3 hours before they drop the puck there, right?
Well, it's gonna be so good. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. So what? All right. So I'm on Canada too because I bet the Canadian women 4 years ago, and did that go to overtime?
I forget how that one ended. Actually, it was a shootout and America won, and they were very good.
Right. And I had bet Canada that time too. And now I just feel like it's just I know it gets tighter as you get to the semifinals and the finals. Although, who did you beat? Finland by like 113 goals?
It's like, it's fascinating because they beat teams like the U.S. women's national team beat Thailand at the World Cup and everyone lost their banana sandwich, right? When they were celebrating like 13-0 or something. And I was thinking about it the other day because Canada, there's I think it's like 8 players that have over 10 goals. Like that's insane on their roster. And one of the women, Sarah Fillier, she's a rookie. She had a hat trick in that game. It was like made it whatever. I forget what it was at the time. I literally watch all the Olympics and I just don't sleep. I'm like having panic attacks watching.
So I know. I want to get into that because I don't know anyone else like you really that does that.
I don't either. Yeah. I don't think there is actually. I'm like NBC's perfect victim. I'm just like, I have so much FOMO of missing it live and everyone's like, dude, just watch it like primetime highlights. I was like, oh my God, watch it like a day later. No, I'm watching it live. And it's really messed me up this week. Like it's been a lot of anxiety this week. So, but it's all for a good cause. It's 2 weeks, just battle it out. And then we'll wait 2 more years.
And then you're in Orlando. You'll go to
I'm doing
Disney
something.
World.
I'm doing something completely different than the job I'm doing is like, okay, stop with the Olympic stuff. Like focus on what you're supposed to be doing here.
But you are so hardcore. You're like, it's as if you have a relative in participating in every single Winter Olympic sport. It's very weird.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like I was a competitive figure skater. We've talked about on your pod before.
Sure.
And then I also know a lot. Like I played hockey with some of the women from Team Canada, like in previous years, and like even women who are bob slayers. That's what they call bobsleigh. Is it in Canada? It's the only place to call it that. I ran track with them, so it's like I have a lot of odd connections. I know a lot of them, even the US Olympians, and like I'm just very dialed into it and having gone to Tokyo literally 6 months ago, which is still wild to me. Yeah. I'm just very, very connected to it and like all the crazy stories and the cheating and the COVID and the cheating is pretty messed up. But if we can bet on Valieva to win, then like we're gonna bet on her to win, right?
I was looking for that. I mean, that would be what they call an emotional hedge because you are so very upset, and everyone should be with this, that she's allowed to compete and she is going to win. But I didn't see it anywhere because I think they figured, well, this whole thing is fixed. So why should we allow people make money or lose money on it? But I sent you a bunch. I didn't see that specific event on there, right?
I know. I didn't see women's figure skating, which would have been wonderful. And I got a. Yeah, so NBC, this is the only grudge I hold against them. And I'm a bigger fan of Mike Tirico after seeing him go from like Beijing to Connecticut to LA to then back to Connecticut right after the Super Bowl, like the day after he was broadcasting from there. Like the guy doesn't sleep. He's just like a robot. My dad thought he was like superimposed onto SoFi Field from Beijing. He's like, he wasn't actually there, was he? Because he couldn't possibly have been. But it's just that NBC will say, okay, women's short program is between 5 to 7 a.m. And I'll say, okay, in my head, the final skaters will go on, warm up around 6:45. Nope. They go on at 9 a.m.
Oh, really?
So I've been sitting there sipping on like my 4th coffee and I'm just like, I'm in a dark place before the final skaters come on. So anyway,
it's like it's like the tennis tournaments because they'll have a set time for the matches. And then like Serena, what happened? She was supposed to go at 4:30 in the morning and now it's 8:15 because everything else went 5 sets before her.
So true.
Yeah.
And the one last thing I'll say is just the odd timing of the fact that like so we're recording this my time right now, like 8 p.m. There'll be there's people competing right now and then they will compete in the morning. Like they will do something in their morning and our night and then their night and our morning. So it's like you could go to bed right now and wake up tomorrow morning and someone will have like in curling have played 2 matches and you're like, now I'm behind. Now I have no idea what's going on. So I thought about changing my whole schedule to just be on Beijing time. And then I was like, Julie, that's what's going to get you locked up. You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not the drinking show. It's this.
You could do it. Well, it is just 48 more hours, right? Or no, it's more. We're only Wednesday. What am I talking about? So the ceremony is Sunday.
Yeah. I don't even
know. I should know this, the schedule. All right. So let's talk, although this is going to sound dated now because the game will have taken place by the time most people listen to this. You said you had big bets on Canada. Yeah. They beat the U.S. Hockey team 4-2. The women I'm talking about here in group stage. They owe it to the U.S., right? Payback. And they're just a slight favorite if you expect them to win regulation, which seemed a little fishy to me, but I'm still jumping. I mean, you have a defenseman, a woman with 13 points. This is insanity what goes on.
It really is insane. I mean, they're both really good, but the injury to Brianna Decker for the U.S. is like a really tough one in the first game of the tournament. So that was tough. But then you do have like so much depth with Canada, which is why for betting details though, like there's some really good bets you could place on the U.S. Like if the U.S. wins in regulation and both teams score over 3 goals, it's like an insane payout. So I did put a bet on that as well. Yeah.
Okay. So you're rooting for no defense.
No, but I have 7 bets on this game.
Let's hear it. Run through it.
By accident, I bet no goals at all, but that's okay. That was plus 3,500.
So you're rooting for no goals or like 12 goals. As soon as there's one goal
like
score, you know which way to go.
Like I thought it was no goals within the first 10 minutes. I was like, okay, for plus 3,500. Yeah, no brainer. And then I was like, oh, no goals. So this is
you're delirious. You're waking up at 3:15 in the morning.
A double gold medal, 2002 kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah, but Canada, straight up, like I bet a 3-1 win at plus 1,200, and then I did this like a couple of days ago, so these odds might be different. USA win by 2 goals was like plus 900. Canada to win by 5 goals. Win by 5 goals.
I mean, you're all over. I mean, you bet like every number on the roulette wheel. This is great.
I'm actually like I'm reading them to you out loud as I look at them and like, wait, why would I ever bet that? And then, but I realized the more I do just like crazy ass bets, then the more they pay off, right?
Yeah. And what do we have after this anyway, right? We have NBA players who may or may not participate, may not suit up for the event. So I mean, might as well go crazy. What overall, aside from the Russian figure skater, that fiasco, what are people missing out on most, would you say, with the Winter Olympics?
Oh my God. They are missing out on the crashes in the freestyle skiing. Holy smokes. It's literally like, they need to do a not top 10 of just like people, so they're doing like the crazy aerial stuff in their skis, right?
Right.
And then they go and they hit the ground and they will land backwards. Like they're supposed to land backwards. That's insane, first of all.
Yeah.
And they will then just eat shit like so hard. I have like 10 videos of just slow-mo, everyone falling down the hill. And you're like, it's sad, but it's also so hilarious. And they like know it too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, because they'll show the slow-mo and then show them afterwards. And they're like, like, what am I supposed to do? I look like an idiot on TV. So those are, and you don't want anyone to get hurt, but like, those are pretty ridiculous. And they have 3 chances, like 3 runs. So that,
if they survive the first 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do they do? I just don't get how these people get into freestyle skiing. It's like, yeah, okay, let's do this. We're going to go up these crazy jumps and like do all this stuff. And I'm going to commit my whole life to just this. And I'll
the
probably
trial
break
and
every
error
bone.
is insane. That goes with it. But I did ask the staff, and I got an unsatisfying answer for the most part here. If you could excel at any Winter Olympic sport, Well, I'll get your answer first, and then I'll tell you you're wrong. So go ahead. Be prepared to be wrong.
You want it to be. It depends what you want. If you want the glory, it needs to be individual. You need to be in an individual sport. I would say it would have to be one of those, maybe like snowboard, cross, or like freestyle, whatever. As someone who watches it, I'm like, what? I don't even know what the names of them are. Is that you will be like the coolest thing that you could do that no one else could do. And it's just you, no team. Team, screw that. 4-man bobsled, nobody knows who you are. I mean, some people in there, but like for the most part, not. And figure skating is definitely like massive.
All right. So I could see you saying figure skating, but the correct answer is what you just told us to, minus the crashing. But ski jumping is you're flying. You're flying. You're not flying in anything else you would do any day of the week. You're flying for 5 to 7 seconds on average. You can't beat that. It's a superpower.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's like this is like skydiving, right? Like we're gonna do skydiving at the Olympics. Like, see,
you're skydiving. You don't have a bungee attached. You're not on a plane with crying babies. Like, you're just
kind of
free
see
falling.
This a little bit. I'm just showing you that I took that video the other night.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's not great.
Like, also, that is a super uncomfortable position.
Although it looks fun.
Just showed a logo.
Looks a little fun.
Yeah. But also then just, I mean, on a sadder kind of like note, it's just like some of the people that can't compete because they get COVID is like the craziest story ever.
Yeah.
And this poor figure skater from the US, like Vincent Zhao, whose name I'm saying incorrectly. He had to like literally PTSD watching his nightmare happen, being in isolation while the men's individual event goes on, and he has tested positive for COVID. And like, he was crying in his video, obviously. And then he said he just like couldn't really watch it. Cause he just imagine just sitting in a hotel room while your dream is being like happening.
Yeah.
That guy, I feel so bad for that kid. I want to like,
that's what's going on with you right now. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, you're saying, oh, I see.
Yeah. Actually you're in the movie. This is Shutter Island or whatever.
You have those cookies with it. You're fine. No, I agree with you. And here's why. You're going to say this is stupid, but I bet, here are some of my bets. I bet I bet against the US and for COVID. I mean, that is not even communist. I don't even know what kind of bin that puts me in, but I bet under 22.5 medals and under 8.5 gold medals for the US, because I don't know why I thought the US would be taken down by COVID more than they were. It was dumb. It was dumb reasoning, but they already have 19 total medals and 8 gold. So I'm going to lose that for sure.
You never know though. I mean, you could think you're on a trajectory and then boom, like one silly thing happens, or like 1/4 of a second of someone too slow. Like, it's crazy seeing how some Olympians, skeleton, Katie Eulander, competed for the US this year.
Yeah.
In 2014, when I was with Fox, she came to our hotel afterwards because she was friends with Peekaboo Street, obviously Olympic gold medalist and Olympian. She was like a complete mess after she came 4th by like 0.10001. And like, imagine like you just like you're a favorite and that's your 4 years.
That's not fun.
I can't deal with that. I'm like, if I was an Olympian watching the Olympics or like Olympic hopeful, I'd be like, no way, I'm changing it now.
How did I not bet on that? That's insane that I wasn't on the losing end of that. That sounds perfect for me. But I did also, so if that isn't bad enough and anti-American, Russia to win the gold medal in hockey, plus 150. They're currently plus 150 anyway, because they'll probably meet Finland in the finals. Is that how you see it?
Ooh, interesting. Oh God. I mean, Finland and Sweden, it's just like, I don't think Russia's going to make it to the finals.
Really?
Actually, I think the best bet would be Sweden at plus 350. Two of the ones remaining. The best bet, it would be Slovakia plus 1,000. They're not going to make it. They're not going to win.
That's the highest odds.
Sweden is really good. I think Finland will win though. I don't think Russia makes it to the gold medal.
I got to get out of that bet. I don't want to root for them, and it's not like they're an overwhelming favorite.
I don't know what's going on. Sometimes, like, Russia didn't have a huge resounding win over Denmark.
How do you not know? You're the only one watching this. I rely on you. You have to know what's going on.
What I mean is that, like, with Russia, I never know what's going on. I mean, sorry, ROC. Like, let's remember why we call them ROC. Like, we don't actually know anything about them. And so also Slava Voinov scored a goal for them against Denmark. You may remember him from such incidents as as being not allowed to play in the NHL because of his domestic violence situation. So
Right.
yeah, it's hard to root for a guy like that, but easy to root for like the Swedes because they're like super nice and great at hockey, and also the Finns too. There's a number of like former NHLers / guys. This is what's you should be looking into. Guys that were on NHL teams this season,
still
like
remaining
2021, that they were like off. Maybe they didn't report to camp, like Mikko Lehtinen from Finland. He was on Toronto, traded to Columbus, and then like didn't go to the AHL team, and then decided to go back to the KHL. Decided to go to the KHL, and is like playing for Finland now. But he was on an NHL roster last year.
Right. Oh, there's so much. And with this ROC, ROC might as well be an NFT because I don't understand. Yeah. And yet it's like, no, look how valuable it is. It's like, really? Oh, is it? I don't even think it's a thing.
Yeah. Like I just don't understand how like the odds makers and sports books look at ROC if you're like, whoa, like they're here and they shouldn't be here. Like,
right.
Do we say yes, put all our money on them because like, who knows? But what shady stuff's going on behind closed doors? Honestly, I'll say that I would be surprised.
Well, it's like some of those Japanese teams had like 19-year-olds in the Little League World Series, but it's like having a line on that. That doesn't make sense.
Hey, the Olympics is too weird.
Tell me why Canada. It seems Canada takes this more seriously than the U.S. They have more pride, or like because if we came in 15th, the U.S. in the luge, we'd be cool with it. But Canada would declare, I think, a state of emergency.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, they are in one right now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not just because of what's going on with the hockey team. But yeah, it's funny because I was saying to someone earlier when America lost and then like Canada lost, was like, oh, this sucks for NBC. And they're like, and CBC. I was like, oh yeah, CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And it is like something that, first of all, hockey is obviously like a major sport up there, but also it's such a cold winter country where there's also not as much going on like in Canada. That's not a negative statement. That's just like America has like 500 different types of gum. Like that's what I remember as a kid coming here. I was like, oh my God, there's so much gum here that was different. And candy that we didn't have in Canada.
You guys have ketchup potato chips though.
Yeah, we got ketchup chips and all dressed. Those are like amazing, both of them. But like then coming down here, I was like, oh my God, so much candy that I've never seen in my life. And then I go home and be like, oh, we just have like Smarties, which you guys don't have. But I'd be like, oh, this sucks. Yeah. And so we just didn't really have that kind of stuff. But then like curling, you look at when I worked in Saskatchewan, which is, for those who don't know, a province, which is like a state above North Dakota. It was like curling everywhere all the time. I didn't know curling at all when I first started working at the station, and they were like flabbergasted. They, gave me a whole crash course on it. And then every weekend I was shooting curling, and it was crazy, and everyone's drunk, and like, it's a lot of fun. Curling is like a big jamming up in those places, but there's no NFL teams, there's no NBA teams other than the one in Toronto. So most of the country is not like, they don't have as many distractions as the US.
Well, first of all, a couple things. I am familiar with Saskatchewan. Saskatoon is where one of my idols, Roddy Piper, grew up, even though he's supposed to be from Scotland, but he is from Saskatoon. So there's that. Secondly, not necessarily the greatest thing that we have all the candy and you guys excel in sweeping, because you guys are getting exercise and we're probably, to a man, 30 pounds more than you, more obese than the average Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably right. But then also a lot of those small towns, I mean, like the sport is sweeping, right? Like, let's like not give them too much credit for being like athletes. They're athletes for sure, but it's not like we're running like sprints all the time.
My housekeeper's in very good shape. I don't want to speak ill of sweeping. So this is basically like Norway is kicking ass. As of now, they have like an 8 medal lead over everyone. Is it just, I mean, this is a dumb question, but they're just used to the cold, right? So they're excelling at a lot of these sports. And that's maybe why it's not as exciting to some people. Like ultimately it's a great story if some dude from Zimbabwe wins the men's half pipe, right? And that's just not happening.
Well, I mean, you have Jamaica's like bobsled team, which obviously everyone was like jazzed about.
That was it. They made a movie.
Yeah. There isn't like a lot of diversity, and that's what they've been talking about a lot, especially in like speed skating and a lot of these different events where it's like just white people coming from like Nordic countries, which is actually kind of how the Olympics began, where it was like just these elite white people, almost like royals that sort of like got to compete in these things. The history of the Olympics is really messed up, as you would imagine. And so basically like the whole, like why we have these random sports, right? That like not anyone in the world, mostly, at least in North America, like really ever does or sees until they see it in the Olympics. Like no one sees biathlon until it's in the Olympics every 4 years. And then we watch it. And then like some of these things we've never really watched. So it's prominent over there, you know, accessibility, interest, of course, the cold weather nations. It's like here, you know, football, basketball, whatever, Americans like NASCAR, that kind of stuff, like any of that kind of stuff. That's obviously not big over there, but it is hard to have interest in something where your country's not good at it. So for like even bobsled, like Germany was just dominating everything until Kaylee Humphreys, former Canadian turned American, won in the monobob, and like Alana Myers-Taylor, American, who's also, she was in isolation because she had COVID. So great story for her. They're competing in like the 2-woman bobsled as well. So that might happen by the time this is out. But yeah, it's just, listen, it's like
I think you're right.
It's just not like relevant. It just feels like it's this weird circus act that happens every 2-4 years, and we all just stare and watch it, and then we go back or we don't watch it. Most people apologize to me and say, "I'm so sorry that I haven't watched the Olympics." I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like I need to apologize too. I don't know. You give off that aura, I think, a little bit. Always asking for an apology.
Why? Because I've gone on a 40-minute monologue on the Olympics that no one asked a question about. My boyfriend was like, don't ask Julie. Don't even mention the Olympics because Julie will talk about it. So like no one's allowed to say Olympics anything. I'll talk about it regardless. But yeah, it's becoming like I talked about it with my dad last night. He was supposed to compete for Canada in the 1980 Olympics when Canada and many countries pulled out because of to protest the Soviets' invasion of Afghanistan. And like my dad was a huge Olympic guy, and he was like, the Olympics are kind of irrelevant. You know, they don't relate to like this audience anymore.
Was that Lake Placid 80? Was 80 like
no, it would have been.
That's what the U.S. Hockey team won. Yeah.
Yeah. The double. He was summer. He was a rower. So
gotcha. He was summer. Gotcha.
Also,
all right. Yeah. And
Munich.
He's probably white, right? He's probably a white guy, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my dad is white.
See what I mean? No, but you're right. I hadn't thought about it.
Would have been a real twist of events if he wasn't.
It is like an avalanche of just white guys. Like I guess it's just a matter of time before QAnon has a bobsled team. But you're right.
Totally.
I think that's probably.
We're now just going to be going by like weird groups of people because like countries will no longer exist because the world's imploding.
Right. Oh God, what the hell happened? Julie Stewart-Binks, our Winter Olympic expert. I mean, she knows everything. Hey, I want to ask you something. Well, first of all, I feel like I give you a lot of good ideas and you don't ever capitalize on any, but really do this. Well, I don't know. There must have been a few, but I have one coming right now.
Okay. I'm going to write it down.
Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. Have they done an interview together? Have they never? No, we've seen so many of them separately, and then they put them back to back. And I felt like they were in the same room. They've not been in the same room since well, they weren't even in the same room when she got her knee banged up. But you need to interview these two together.
Bring them together.
Fubo puts up the loot, whatever. It goes to their favorite charities.
Wow.
I don't know, Nancy. Tanya's is probably Cheetos and Michelob Ultra, whatever. You ask them. You need to do this. You go all Oprah on them. Right? Wouldn't that be great? I mean, you're a journalist.
Yeah, Sal, that's a great idea. Wow. And also, like, I feel as though they would do it because what else are they doing? Number one, but like enough time has passed, but also like figure skating, that was its heyday when that kind of stuff happened. Mm-hmm. And then like when that happened, obviously the whole world watched that. And then the whole pair scandal with Jamie and David and Elena and Anton, like the Russian and the Canadian, the whole whatever French judge stuff. If everyone remembers that, I realize I'm a bit inside Olympics, so I have to, appeal to the wider audience. But that was like the figure skating time, like the Battle of the Bryans, Orser and Boitano and Elvis Stoico and all those people. Like people were into figure skating. Like now I'm like, oh, I know Nathan Chen because everyone talks about Nathan Chen and da da da. But other than that, like, and then of course, obviously scandals this year. So there'll be another scandal story that will happen because of figure skating. Yeah. You don't really know so much about them. So like, I think that this would be good for the sport to have them together. And then also like for them. And also that's a great, like that I'd have to sell that. We can't do a drinks with Binks like that. We got to be in person, like set it up somewhere nice, like put like a big, like we're not doing it over Zoom. I imagine we got to do like a whole.
No, yeah, it'd probably be like StreamYard or whatever the one up from Zoom.
That's a great cue. No. I wonder what
you should do it. I'm telling you, I'm going to talk to your bosses.
If I said, why don't you guys produce it? It'll be a Cousin Sal production.
I'll do it in a heartbeat. But honestly, I think charity is the way to go because then they look like idiots. They look like idiots. No, we'll produce it, but they'll look like idiots if they turn it down.
How much money do you think it would take for like both of them to sit
$170?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, whatever the cameo fee is, right? We said that about.
What would you ask? I mean, you have to ask. I mean, first of all, Nancy had the best and only question, which was why.
Yeah,
right? She screamed through it, and it's like I'm going to take. And then I wonder what Tonya would say.
I mean, now it's like it ruined both of their lives, really. Like, I mean, it kind of made Nancy's life in a way. But like she fucked up her Olympics, but no one would know who she was if it hadn't happened.
That's true. And then now you're in Orlando, but do you remember? I mean, you were probably very young when this happened, but when she kind of her goodwill went out the window when she went to Orlando and was complaining about Disney World. Remember? She won the medal, right?
She was complaining about Disney World.
Yeah, look that. You're going to have to know this stuff if you're going to interview them. Yes, look it up.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry. I should be ready to go. Like imagine you just did a surprise. Hey, Nancy and Tonya are on here right now. Right. Let's do the interview. I'd be ill prepared in that category of
they're in the Zoom waiting room. Yeah. I mean, do 10 or 11 minutes worth of research and you'll
listen. Okay, great. I'm going to do that one because I love Olympic stories. Like listen, I'm working on one right now. That's a bit of a tease, but I'm working on. I'm not just in this because I'm a crazy person. I have some stuff I'm working on. So
okay, good. Yeah, they're like
but I will definitely work on getting the Nancy and Tonya in sit down.
All right, I know you're not gonna, so I'm just gonna set this up for you.
I'm 100% going to. Like, what else am I going to do once the Olympics ends other than prepare for Paris 2024?
Yeah, that's right there.
Sal, do you know I was supposed to go? I was asked to go to Beijing 3 separate times. But I couldn't.
Real? Who asked you?
Like the Olympics, like Olympic Broadcast Service, which I work for Tokyo doing baseball, softball. They asked me to do hockey. And so I would have been like working that Canada USA game. But you are kind of like a pool reporter doing all that. I would have gone in a heartbeat. Like people said, why would you want to go to Beijing? I was like, why wouldn't I want to go? I want to see how that whole thing works.
Yeah.
And like, I want to see what it's like to have people like try to surveillance security me, all this like Snowden stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see that panda, whatever, doing, however you pronounce his name. Oh my gosh. I ordered one on Amazon, like that mascot. Cause it's like contraband, basically. It's like so hard to get him. But like just see it all and see what it's like. And the COVID stuff in Japan was really strange and not as reported. So I wanted to see what Beijing was like.
So where did it get screwed up?
It's really tough to just like ask for some time off to just casually go to Beijing. And then there's no way to guarantee that you won't test positive and be there or / be put in jail for like espionage, something like that. So
right. Well, there is a way to guarantee it if you put the ROC label on yourself somewhere.
Oh, it'd be fine. I'd be treated like royalty. I was just walking in. I could kind of pass as one, like pass as a Russian, but they'd be like, oh no, Julie, like listen, last thing I'll say. I've said that 500 times on this. Mm-hmm. I was in Tokyo and they said I went to the Park Hyatt Hotel at the end for like 2 days, which I don't think I was allowed to do, but I'd already made the reservation. Mm-hmm. And I walked up there and the front desk was like, hi, Julie, the journalist. We're so glad to have you. We hope like baseball and softball was good. I was like, okay, this is really strange and messed up because you guys know everything about me from this reservation. And then they put me in a room that showed the closing ceremonies venue. They're like, here's a room for you to watch the closing ceremony. So you know how much you love the Olympics. I was like, kind of really freaked out, but then also like, this is really nice. I wish places knew this much about you and like could cater a hotel room to your interests. But then I thought, well, if this is what Tokyo is like China would be all over my shit. They'd
you did
be like,
the math on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They probably are already on it right now. They're
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
girl,
they're all over the Zoom extracting whatever nonsense
right
they see
this.
fit.
Yeah, they're
It's
like, watch
not gonna
her.
be good.
She's not into everything. So
All right, so we'll do the Nancy Tonya thing. Yes, it'll be on ice. We know that, but we'll figure out where. Maybe
Let's lace up the skates and then
Maple
maybe
Leaf Gardens, right center ice. We'll figure it out.
That's now a grocery store, but we'll do it there.
Oh, that's right. All right. Well, they have an ice section,
but they
right?
have the center. They have this. They have still like the center ice. Like they have the lines.
Oh, they do. All right.
Yeah.
So in the grocery store, Tonya probably works there actually. So that could that could work out. I do have one more question. And this is, another great idea. Potentially, if you have a super answer. If you could make up one competition for the Winter Olympics, it could be anything. Snowman building, whatever it is. What would you choose?
Oh, okay. The first thing that comes to mind is you have to put on like crampons on your on your feet and you have to run up the hill. So it's like a race. It's like a sprinting race, but it's up the hill.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that sounds actually like a nightmare race. That's like Heart Attack Central, but I think that would be like that feels like it could breed legitimacy because that's
really good. And I was going to say, well, it's not fair because some hills are bigger than others, but the downhill is the same way.
Yeah, you got to run. You have to run up the downhill.
I really like that. I wonder who would be good at that. Probably Norway, but I mean, who specifically?
Oh God, Norway would be so good. Those lungs, like that they could, and then you got to get the altitude. And are you going to sprint? Like we could have different, measures of distance. Like is it a long distance one? But it's all uphill. Well,
listen, here's the thing. This might solve a couple problems here because there might be an influx of diversity. I mean, it is running, right? And it's up a hill. It's running. On snow.
It's definitely up a hill. There's snow. That's the one like kind of different area of the world. But yeah, I think that running up a hill would be great.
All right, here's
Olympic sport.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot, but I think we'd have to give it a catchy name, right?
Or like tubing, just going down the hill in a tube.
Tubing's fun too. Yeah.
Or downhill tubing. Oh man, downhill tubing and then freestyle tubing, right?
Yes. I like all this stuff. Yeah. How about this? A little more practical in terms of the day. De-icing your windshield while holding an espresso. And this is where I think like New York and like old Italian men from Brooklyn would excel. So now it's not just like 22-year-olds. You have like 73-year-old men de-ice. Because what's more annoying than de-icing? That's the one thing I love about California. I don't have to warm my car up and de-ice and come out 1, 2, 3 times before you actually go in there and drive somewhere
and
miserable.
Getting like the ice off the windshield wipers and all that snow that congregates right just in that little area by the windshield. You got to get that out, and then you're trying to get the ice off of it, but then it's like there's too many layers. So, and if you have the coffee and espresso in one hand, like how are you going to maneuver it properly? That's good. That's definitely.
You see, you've thought of this before.
I've done it. I mean, hey, I lived in Saskatchewan and we had to plug in our cars.
Oh yeah. So and I also don't think the ROC could cheat at this. I mean, I guess there's some steroids that can make you ice faster.
Oh, honey, you can find a way around.
They would do it.
Damn. Yeah. I think there's. Like, listen, when I grew up as someone who, when I played hockey, I just want to win. Like, I just want to win. Our team got banned from university intramural hockey because we used an ineligible player, of which I knew we were using. I was a team captain.
Yeah.
That was not a good look on me, but whatever. Gary Bettman of inter-university athletics, like kicked us out. Is that there's always a way to cheat.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
I find old Italian men trustworthy, but
yeah. They'll find a way. If you you can find a shortcut around anything.
They'll figure it out. All right. I think we just came up with 2 or 3 great events, and the Nancy Tonya thing. Not enough has been said about that. I think you could make peace between those two.
Yeah, we need to bring it back up. We've done too many like multi-motion pictures and documentaries. No, we want to see the real people together.
Yeah. All right. This is great. This has been a lot of fun, and you know what? It was important too. It's maybe the most important podcast I've done all year.
I think it really is, because I think that the IOC needs it.
They should listen to it over and over and over. Thank you so much, Julie. What do you want to plug? You have a lot going on.
So I guess like I'll plug where I'm in Orlando doing Pfl Challenger Series, which is an an MMA reality show. Basically, it's gonna be on Fubo every Friday for the next 8 weeks. And it's like guys competing for contracts in PFL. So, but there's like a celebrity panel. So sort of like they say American Idol meets MMA. I'm very curious. Great. Yeah, it will be and Ray Lewis and like Deion Sanders and a couple people, Jay Glazer involved. So it'll be neat. And then I'll be drinking and banking, you know, as long as they let me at Fubo from my apartment. You know, Drinks and Binks is my show. So, and whatever else random falls into my lap.
I love it. It's great. Do they check your liver every year before they renew you? Or are they just like, whatever?
Oh, no, they're like, just keep, you're good. You're good. Just keep on going. I actually had a fake. I had wine the other day because I was like, it's like 10 a.m. I can't be like, you know, I'm trying to dry January.
That out of the podcast. I think your core listeners are not going to like hearing that. You're faking that.
Core listeners, my mom, she'll be like, oh, that was a good idea, honey. You know, don't drink too much on the show. But it's for everyone. Like we had Coke because Pepsi is Satan's piss.
Yes.
But God so everyone knows it's not just alcohol. It's we're equal opportunity employer of many different beverages.
There you go. I love it. It's a great show. Thank you for coming on. Go get dinner. Try to shake off those baby crying in your mind. I know it's a long flight.
Well, I've got to get ready for Canada to win gold tonight. So we will see this on the pod.
I am rooting for you. Gold. There you go. I should be wearing red too. Thanks, Julie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sal.